Hello, I'm Arik, Communications Director at League of Education Voters. Welcome to our free online webinar series, Lunchtime LEVinars. We started this series 5 years ago to share information and build knowledge on important and timely issues. Today's LEVinar is on how to ensure equity and rigor in dual credit and career technical education. The Washington State Legislature has continued to work on school funding in the 2019 legislative session. During the session, lawmakers made policy changes that create different pathways to graduation. But do these pathways actually prepare students for success after high school? The West Valley School District in Yakima is an exemplar of how to do this right. Our speakers today are West Valley Superintendent Mike Brophy and Chris Nesmith, West Valley Director of Innovation. They will outline their strategic approach to supporting every student throughout their educational journey, culminating in their dual credit and CTE programs, and will answer your questions. In between Chris and Mike, you'll notice Peter Finch. Dr. Peter Finch is the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning at West Valley, and he'll be there to answer questions that Chris and Mike might not be able to answer, or at least add some additional information. Dr. Mike Brophy is in his 9th year as superintendent of the West Valley School District. Mike earned his BA in Social Studies and Education in 1977 from Washington State University, his MS in Physical Education in 1982 from WSU, and his educational doctorate in Educational Leadership in 2005, also from WSU. After 10 years of teaching and coaching, Mike entered administration in 1987, serving as an assistant principal at Camas High School. He spent 3 years as an assistant principal, as well as 4 years as high school principal in Aberdeen, 7 years at Eastmont High School as principal, then 5 years as an assistant superintendent at Eastmont, followed by 5 years as assistant superintendent in the Bethel School District. Mike is entering his 43rd year in education and is a frequent presenter at state, regional, and national educational conferences. Among other honors, he was named as the Washington State PTA Outstanding Educator in 2014. Mike is married to his wife, Cindy. They have 4 children, and they enjoy spending time visiting their 11 grandchildren. Congrats, Mike. I just had the one kid. Chris Nesmith is the Director of Innovation for the West Valley School District. Chris earned his teaching degree from Central Washington University in Business Education, where he played rugby, meeting his wife Casey on the rugby pitch. Chris taught business for the Shelton School District in Shelton, Washington, before coming to West Valley in 2013. While in West Valley, Chris launched an innovative career pathway initiative for students, which has led Chris to studying vocational education in Germany and Switzerland. Chris completed his master's in education from the University of Washington and is currently pursuing his doctorate from Washington State University. Chris has 2 daughters and spends his free time coaching youth rugby in Yakima with his wife. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. You'll notice a Q&A function on the bottom of your screen. This is a space for you to submit questions to us. And as always, feel free to send any feedback about the webinar quality to us on the chat function or at info@educationvoters.org. Welcome, Mike and Chris.
Thank you very much.
Kind of leading off with our John Dewey quotes. So things that we just want to keep people tuned in on is, we only think when we're confronted with problems. And really that's kind of how we wanted to get things going today, is some of the problems we're facing and how we can approach creative solutions to those. So Mike's going to lead off with the West Valley 5 Steps to Student Success.
So when I came here, when I came here 9 years ago, we moved toward a strategic vision that I wanted to have that was based on only 5 things. This is not some in-depth strategic plan that goes in a 3-ring binder and then goes up on a shelf that you revisit when it's time to do the strategic plan again. Instead, we wanted to ensure a system from pre-K all the way through graduation that stood for high expectations for all students. Our 5 steps are, and you can see them on the screen, kindergarten readiness, and we have a kindergarten readiness program, our West Valley Pre-K initiative, that's a state recognized as well as nationally recognized program for getting kids kindergarten ready. The main thing about that is we train preschool and child care providers from throughout the greater Yakima area, And so we look at how we can better narrow the achievement gap of kids as they're entering the system. We've also been recognized by the Office of Head Start as one of the top 13 programs in the United States for collaboration between a school district and Head Start. Enriching kindergarten experience. We really believe in and work hard to make sure that all of our kindergarten students have an outstanding experience. This used to say full day kindergarten because when I came to West Valley, when the state was paying for half day kindergarten, West Valley had a tuition program where if your parents could afford it, you got to go to kindergarten full day. And I kind of thought that was the wrong approach. And so after my first year here, the board made a commitment to all children in West Valley and paid for full day kindergarten for every child. And it was a major financial commitment that really spoke strongly to our community about how important it was for kids to get off to a good start. Third and fourth graders to benchmark in reading and math. And we really focus a lot on this. We have instructional coach in all 6 of our elementary schools, our middle school and junior high. We take a assessment 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. We identify where those learning gaps are for kids. And then what we do is we work hard with those instructional coaches, breaking down the data, working with paraeducators and teachers to move kids to the next level. Algebra ready by 8th grade. Everybody knows that numeracy is the gatekeeper for kids in 3rd grade. You have to be able to read at grade level by 3rd grade, but then by the time a kid gets to 8th grade, that shifts over to numeracy as the gatekeeper for success after school. Every course taken above Algebra 2 doubles somebody's likelihood of getting a baccalaureate degree. So we emphasize at kids being algebra ready by 8th grade so they can take calculus as a senior. And then finally, career and college ready. We really emphasize, and we've been recognized for the programs that we've installed in West Valley to ensure that kids are career and college ready. We offer like 28 college and high school classes. We were in 2014-15 a back-to-back AP or College Board AP Honor Roll district, one of 3 districts in the state. And what we're really known for now is the career readiness, the apprenticeship program that Chris will talk about in more depth, and getting kids the opportunity to have a career and then pursue college if they want to. Some of the memberships that I belong to, I've been in the AASA Digital Learning Consortium. I'm currently in Peter is in the AASA Early Learning Cohort. We were admitted in the Digital Promise League of Innovative Schools as one of 102 districts in the United States. I'm currently in the AASA Personalized Learning Cohort. I've been admitted to the District Administration Leadership Institute, and most recently, I was accepted as a member of the Futures Institute, and I'm looking forward to that, where we study the future of education in the United States and what it looks like.
So elements that I've done is I was welcomed by ZFA to study the German dual education system, where we spent 1 week studying urban and 1 week studying Erfurt. A rural outlook on the German dual vocational education system. In 2017, in July of 2017, I joined a Washington State delegation to attend ETH Zurich in Switzerland to study the TVET, the vocational education system with Switzerland, and the return on investment systems. And recently last year, I was admitted to the AASA Redefining Ready cohort on how we're really looking at what it means to be ready for life beyond high school.
We've really had a nice run here for the last few years. Like I said, in 2013, we were a Washington STEM Lighthouse School for our junior high school. 13-14, College Board AP Honor Roll District. 14 and 16, District Administration Magazine, District of Distinction for the FiveSteps to Student Success, as well as Early Learning Program, and also for the Career and College Readiness Program. 2015, we were a Magna Award by the National School Board Association, honorable mention for our early learning program. In 2016, the ICLE, William Daggett's organization, invited us to come speak about our innovations in the West Valley School District. And most recently, Ignite, International Girls in STEM School of the Year for 2019.
So that's West Valley in a nutshell. So let's talk about what's going on in West Valley, and we're going to begin talking about some of the reasons why. So this is a document, an image infographic that goes around Washington State right now. And it's 80,700 ninth grade students enter in our Washington public education system. And we lose about 3,500 before 10th grade, another 3,400 before 11th grade, 4,900 before 12th, and to 8,300 drop out before graduation. Then of that, 1,400 don't even enroll in some form of post-secondary education. 14,000 don't enroll in a form of post-secondary education, with only 21,000 completing it. So to kind of summarize, 80,700 ninth graders enter Washington's education system. 25,000 will earn a credential to the tune of 31%, and we leave about 55%, 69%, 55,000 students without any form of post-secondary credential to enter the workforce in a meaningful way. When we were in Switzerland, one of the infographics we got was really looking at how that changes. And one of the things that really stood out to me is in the Swiss education system versus the American education system is a level of permeability in how the education system built off of itself. So 14% of the 100% who enter, 14% don't exit with any form of education. So that's 86% due to our 31%. So 86% of the students have some form of post-secondary credential. 36% earn a vocational certification while in their secondary schools, which it's permeable. So that means it moves forward. 14% can move on to a higher certification, 13% to a higher applied degree, with 1% moving on to a liberal arts university-based degree. So engineering would fall under a University of Applied Sciences degree. So if you became a machinist, you could work towards a mechanical engineering certification. When we look at that through the lens of the Washington education system and what the workforce demands are going to be, you see this 36% vet certification population in the Swiss economy that doesn't exist within the Washington state economy. So really what it does is it creates a larger gap. So moving from the Washington to the Washington projected, it's really going to require more of our students earning a certification technical degree because those credentials aren't available to our students within within our secondary school system. I guess I should say hadn't been, but are now becoming much more prevalent. Also, the big impact was looking at how do we define student achievement. One of the things that used to stand out to me during my bachelor's degree was it's not fair to compare to the United States to math, science, and English scores because the rest of the world doesn't test their students on math, science, and English scores. So we're only being tested against those top tier students across the world. While we're in Switzerland, an interesting quote came out was, we don't understand the American education system who's only testing the math, science, and English scores. They were only testing those high academic achievers because those are the students that were too far away from performing in the economy. And as a result, they used a 12-point data system, which was very similar to the Washington state unemployment system on looking at the return on investment of the public education sector. So as we're investing in our public education system, how are our students being able to re-engage back into the economy and make use of those educational investments we made as a state system? So that's kind of like that ground level before we start breaking into what's happening at West Valley. So other deciding factors. Federally, Carl Perkins 5 Washington State is releasing a new Carl Perkins 5 plan. And this really impacts us as CTE directors as the federal reporters or the federal officers, compliance officers for school districts. Carl Perkins defines a CTE concentrator where we're evaluating our CTE concentrator rate as students who complete 2 academic credits. Indicators of performance, which will be nailed down on the Washington State plan, is it could be at the end of those two academic credits, do students earn an industry certification? Are they earning CTE dual credit, which is college credit? Or is it work-based learning? These are all decisions that we're waiting on to come out on the Washington State plan. And then in addition to that, Washington State has the ability to develop state-determined levels of performance. When you're looking at House Bill 1599 and multiple pathways to graduation, your high school principals, this is what concerns them, and they're looking to ways to bring their graduation rate up. So this includes that students complete a CTE sequence. It needs to be relevant to post-secondary to a post-secondary pathway. It does not need to be a CTE preparatory program, which under Carl Perkins are those indicators of performance, industry certification, dual credit, or work-based learning. So even though federally we're required to have students meet that post-secondary credential, statewide we're not required to have that level of standard. An interesting development is Core Plus has been defined as an immediate alignment for House Bill 1599. So school districts offering Core Plus programming will immediately meet that multiple pathways to graduation. Things that we wanted to be consider is how can we bring these two programs into alignment? So it's CTE directors and high school principals are working together to that CTE sequence also meets the definition of what a CTE concentrator is, as opposed to working against each other where high school principals are trying to bring grad rate up. So we want to make it so as your Perkins concentrator rate goes up, so do your CTE sequence rates go up, not totally unrelated to each other. So what is our role in public education? I like to use this image because it really defines, what are the goals? And is the goal the celebration, the culmination, the party at the end? Or is the goal to prepare students for successful and meaningful lives beyond high school? And I like to compare this to a wedding because many times in society we get really committed to planning and throwing these commitments to each other, or throwing the party of the wedding, the celebration. But we really miss out on the fact that really the goal is to prepare for a life with another person, just as the goal in high school isn't to prepare students to graduate. The goal is to prepare, graduation is just the next step in where you will be going with the rest of your life. And want to identify that correlation. So times are changing. We have different needs. Students need a way to engage in the economy in a new way. So when we teach students the same way we taught them yesterday, we're robbing them of tomorrow. It's interesting to use a 100-year-old quote in identifying, not teaching students in the same way which we taught them. But I think a lot of these principles of John Dewey saying that we needed to evolve in public education 100 years ago, we're still asking ourselves today, is it time to evolve in that manner? So we've been fumbling over preparing kids for the future for 100 years. So let's talk about West Valley. We build our career pathways based upon economic labor data. Every program we build is based off some form of economic need. Economic data is available in multiple ways. Employment Securities Department has a great local regionalized economists that are willing to work with you on how you build these programs. All programs need to lead to a form of college credit or industry certification. We want to make sure that we maintain that level of rigor. Pathways are using an equivalency credit, which means students are earning academic credit while within our CTE pathways, because we want to make sure that we're opening doors, not shutting doors. Going back to that graphic on is the goal to get kids to graduation, we feel that the role of a good public education system is one that encourages students to continue learning for the rest of their lives, not reaching students to the culmination of their learning. And all pathways lead to further education through university, community college, technical school, apprenticeship, or direct employment with a continued training within that direct employment. And the goal is that it's really cyclical. We want to look at economic labor demand. How can we credential you to better perform in that? How can we align that to your academic skills? And how can you move forward in a post-secondary credential, which again is built off of economic labor demand? So that way students are making investments in their future. So key components of the West Valley Futures program, nuts and bolts. Early engagement. We began early engagement in the 7th grade with exploratory coursework and interest-based assessments. Programs are built around depth. All programs of study are a sequence of courses that build off of each other to a minimum of 2 credits. And that brings us back in alignment with that CTE concentrator definition. And it's another key point is the courses build off of each other, so they're leading somewhere. All courses are rigorous. Programs lead to an industry-recognized credential or college credit. All programs are permeable. We have an exit point that leaves more doors open. We don't want students moving into a CTE program shutting the doors on 4-year university, just as we don't want students preparing for 4-year university shutting the doors to being able to apply for a career in the trades. And programs are real world. We include a work-based learning component so that way students can see what's happening in the world using the skills that they're learning in the classroom. Early engagement. 35% of West Valley Junior High FTE is in a CTE STEM program. 7th grade science is built off STEM human body systems. Life science, 7th grade life sciences is built around human body medical-based science. Computers essentials. Every 7th grade student earns Microsoft certification in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. In the net graphic to the right, you'll see that we had 505 Microsoft certifications in our 7th grade just last year. We begin Core Plus programming in pre-engineering. 7th grade science, again, uses the Core Plus programming in material science and green energy. This year, we launched a drone manufacturing, and our 8th grade students in computer science get Microsoft Python certified. And then again, we begin doing career interest assessments where we begin using interest-based course registration that connects students to their career interests and their post-secondary plans. So what does this look like as far as depth? We begin Core Plus in 7th grade through Lean Manufacturing, AutoCAD, Additive CNC, and Subtractive CNC. Programs move into material science. In 10th grade, students connect to an AWS, American Welding Society certified welding certification, into Core Plus, 540 hours of Core Plus within the 11th grade, and connect them into a machining manufacturing program.
Chris, can I ask you real quick, what is CNC?
Computer numerated control, sorry. It's when you program a computer to follow the coordinate grid that you would have done in an algebra class, and then it'll actually cut out. So you'll have a router that'll move around in either on either a 2-axis or a 3-axis, so either on an XY axis, or we have our 7th grade students moving between XY, and a 2.5 axis would be like a Z with like your Z depth would be preset, or a free-flowing 3rd axis.
Great.
So, and I'm going to go through this real quick because I have a short amount of time. Mike spoke about step 4. We actually have a whole class called AMPed, where students, it's one algebra teacher, one manufacturing teacher, and to that point, there's 60 students in the classroom at one time, divided between the shop floor and the traditional classroom. Algebra teacher will teach coordinate grid using an algebra-based skill. Students go out to the shop floor and produce and manufacture on the actual CNC equipment, which uses coordinate grid to perform its XYZ axis cuts. So we have found that under a 2-period block, our algebra score and algebra retention. So traditionally, you don't see applied algebra. You see applied algebra coming up as a program available for 10th graders who needed remediated algebra. We use it for your advanced 7th graders, and we're finding our algebra retention has skyrocketed using applied algebra. Sophomore year, 10th grade, 540 hours of Core Plus manufacturing where students earn their OSHA 10 certification. And then we move on to our registered apprenticeship where our teacher is cross-certified to deliver the related supplemental instruction, and students earn paid on-the-job experience from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday through our local business partners. And they will culminate. So this is ran through AJAC, Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee, where students will receive 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, and back to our credit equivalency, they earn 15 college credits, math, science, and English academic credit. So that way the doors are still open. 1/3 of our apprentices move on to mechanical engineering degrees. 1/3 move on to larger apprenticeships. 1/3 stay working for their already in place companies. So West Valley, internally, we have our own achievement system, which uses a rigorous-based education, a rigorous achievement. Our goal is to have a 90% attendance rate every day. One or more students are enrolled in one or more co-curricular engagement activities, which improves academic engagement and must include a community service. Students must earn an industry credential beginning in 7th grade. Students must have a dual credit career pathway with a work-based learning. And I probably won't show it, but one of the other data pieces we use are student income levels, which is available on the ERDC, Educational Research Data Center. So that was something that came out that we asked for as part of our Swiss research team was, if Switzerland is using income levels, how come we don't have that kind of data in Washington State? And in January of last year, that data has now become available. You can look at your local school district and see how those students, your local students from your school district are performing in the economy. Academic indicators, students must earn a minimum of 12 usable dual credits. The reason why is that's one academic quarter. We want to make sure they have one quarter done while they're in West Valley. College development courses through ELA and math to make sure that students are moving to English 101 with a GPA of a 2.8 to a 4.0, because that's what it's going to take to get accepted to a university. And we were looking at that pre-college coursework also available on the ERDC data. We're also looking at our math and our FAFSA rate, which is included within support from WASAC, the Washington Student Achievement Council. And this is an example of the dual credit available for West Valley. And in our rate. What I'm going to do is I want to show you the video of some of our programs, and I'll show you our website.
When I came into work here, I I knew that it was what I wanted to do. My name is Steven Sanchez, and I'm an apprentice in the West Valley Futures program.
You know, as a small community, we have a lot of machine shops here in town, and every year the pool of candidates gets smaller and smaller. So having a fresh pool of young students that have been through this program and can hit the ground floor running, it's a benefit to everybody.
Walking in was definitely a new experience, a different vibe definitely. Everybody's focused.
My role is virtually just to get the students ready for the workplace. There's a lot of career opportunities from the machining program here.
We need people to make things. It goes from the pencils that they write with to the clothes that they wear. In some way, shape, or form, a machinist has had his hands in part in making that.
Out of high school, I want to either go into manufacturing engineering or mechanical engineering. I'll be able to understand what I'm drawing and make the drawings so that people making the parts can actually understand it.
It's one thing for an engineer to put something on paper, but it's totally something different when you have someone who understands how that part is going to be made.
Before, school was kind of hard for me. Like, I couldn't focus in school. Now I only have 3 periods a day, and I'm doing this half of my day. I'll come in at 6:30 in the morning and work till 10:30. Then I'll head off to school and do the last 3 periods of the day.
You can kind of tell when they get back to school here, they're all puffed up like, I got a job, I'm working, I'm making money.
My perspective, it's a way to learn skills that would otherwise I would have to get outside of high school. Every day I come in, I'm learning something new, definitely. This is kind of what I want to do for the rest of my life, so it gave me that. When I came into
So on that, we have a link when I go back to the PowerPoint to our website, and this lays out all of our West Valley programs of study and opportunities for students. And I would encourage all the viewers to go to wvfutures.org and look at the opportunities that we have for students and how that would fit within your districts or your programs. And again, wvfutures.org. Biggest culmination point is we need to realize why is a completely reasonable question for our students, and it's important to connect our students to a why answer. We need to start looking at teachers, academic and vocational teachers, and job shadows. Most of your students are going to be working in jobs within your local community, and we need to begin connecting our teachers to what our students will be doing when they leave. It's not just about getting to the finish line, it's about connecting to the education for the rest of their life. Identify the economic performance data of our graduates. Make sure programs are permeable. This needs to be about opening doors and not shutting doors. Any program that shuts doors is not really doing the best for our students. Career exploration should begin early. Remember, workforce preparedness is a process, not a finish line. We never want our students giving up on where they're going. There is no end. And in a nutshell, that's it, Arik. Any questions?
As a matter of fact, there are. Yeah, thank you so much, Chris and Mike. We have about 10 minutes for questions. And if you have a question, all you need to do is type your question in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. No question is too basic. And sure enough, we do have several ready to go. I'll start with the first one, which is, are students enrolled in special education, whether that's an IEP or a 504 plan, included in the data presented and also in the hands-on programs? If so, do you know what their success rates are versus general education students?
All programs include data within our special education students. And I don't have the data output. I think anecdotally it's our special education students are running on par with our non-special education students. I will say most of actually, let me flip that. Our special education students perform better on our Python certification than our non-special education students. So I will say, actually, I would say about, if not 100%, it's going to be like 95% of our Microsoft Python certifications are special education students.
And we do have students going straight from West Valley into the workplace. We have a student at Boeing. They start with $55,000 a year starting salary with a $20,000 stipend for continuing education. And we have students from special education program that have gone on and are working at Boeing.
So not to, and I want to make sure that I don't say it in a way that identifies our individual students. So it's easy to speak about the junior high program, which has larger numbers. When we get into the high school program, we're down to pretty specific. But yes, our enrollment runs on average with the overall campus demographic with a pretty equitable performance rate.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Chris and Peter. And I got another question, which is, what CTE classes do you have that count as a third year of math? If so, are the math skills in those classes determined to be at the algebra level or higher?
They're all algebra level or higher. We do the Core Plus program, which is a third year math option. And that's a state equivalency through the Core Plus machining manufacturing, which is why we run 540 hours of it. We're also equivalency through our registered apprenticeship program because of the precision measurement. The one that I'm very proud of, I shouldn't say most, but very proud of is Jamie Zeller is the Applied Math Council's trainer for financial algebra. So our teacher helps train all the other teachers across the state in financial algebra. And this was something I didn't have enough time to go into, but you talk about there's third year of math options as a lower rigor option. Our financial algebra now starting this next year is Finance 174, which is a quantitative math class, CHS class through Central Washington University. Our students will be earning 5 credits of quantitative college level math through financial algebra.
Yeah, and that's financial algebra 2 on the transcript.
Wow, that's great. So I have a basic question here, which is, what is Core Plus?
Core Plus is a partnership through the Manufacturing Industrial Council, the MIC through Seattle, Boeing and Boeing Aerospace, where they really looked at ways in which how can we identify this changing manufacturing economy? The big concern is how can we prepare students for post-secondary education to begin getting careers within our manufacturing partners in Washington State. And what we identified is none of the skills on that list were skills we couldn't be doing in high school. So there was a large investment made in partnership with Boeing Workforce, the MIC, and OSPI in aligning a curriculum program that identified academic credits, math, science, and English that students can earn while working in manufacturing. There are currently 1,080 hours of instruction available through Core Plus. West Valley does 270 hours of those in the junior high, 540 hours of those in the high school, and it's prerequisite to get into the registered apprenticeship program through AJAC Aerospace.
And we want all of our curriculum to be aligned to industry standards and industry certification. And our philosophy is that we want our teachers to be experts in pedagogy, but they don't need to be experts in curriculum development. We want the curriculum development to be done industry standard, and give us the curriculum and we'll do an excellent job teaching it.
So this Core Plus comes with training on the Boeing campus. It comes with subject matter experts from Boeing who come out to West Valley High School and assess our students to ensure that quality of instruction is there. Much more. I think there's $900,000 of available grants for school districts interested in pursuing that'll be available September 15th.
That's fantastic. Because I was going to ask, the next question is, how did you build your partnerships with the business community?
Talk about getting the teachers out into the community, into the business. Yeah.
So we can break this down into a few steps. Step one, I run a professional development through West Valley Summer Institute, which is our professional development plan through West Valley. Teachers can sign up for ways that they would like to improve their professional development. The one I run is Career Connected Learning, where we place our teachers in job shadows for a day, and our teachers go back to work in industry. Step one, we need to put our teachers back into the workforce. Those are the jobs our students need to see. We can't be disconnected from those. We need to go out, see it, feel it, live it, believe it. That was step one. Step two is, just a lot of knocking on doors, because we're looking for those business partners to bring students in. So you're working with the Workforce Development Council. You're working for your economic development. You're looking for, or Chamber of Commerce's. You're looking for those business partners that are willing to open their doors first to teachers, for then our teachers to understand this knowledge of education we need students to have, move our students to that standard, and then now we're looking for those business partners to take on and onboard our students.
Another key thing is working together with other school districts to have a regional general advisory council. If you think about, especially here in the Yakima Valley, you have all these small districts, and to have all these small districts knocking on the door of the same businesses, I mean, it's just not realistic. But Chris has done a great job working with Will from Yakima School District, Bonnie from Toppenish, providing leadership across the region. So we have a general advisory council across the region, and so we can work smarter, not harder.
That makes sense. Yeah, and then the next question I have, and I have got time for about 2 more, is how are you able to pay for your programs such as Microsoft certification?
That's a really good question. You know, when the state allowed for CTE funding at 7th and 8th grade, we jumped on that right away the first year because we knew it would create opportunities for our kids. And we always have a saying here about, you know, think 5 years from now, the impact that we're going to have on kids by the work that we're doing today. And so, you know, 5 years ago is when we, or a little bit before that, is when we started looking at 7th and 8th grade as a way to have the exploratory classes. And then that builds the pipeline up to the high school. We've had a lot of interest in the registered apprenticeship and the success that our students have had in the field. So our students are being very successful when they're out in the field. But you got to work your way back. The pipeline is at the middle level. And so accessing the CTE funds for grades 7 and 8 has been key.
Then the other part is the partnership between OSPI and Microsoft through the Microsoft Imagine Academy. So that is because of that investment Washington State has made, Microsoft certification is completely and totally free for all school districts in Washington State.
Got it. So any school district can apply for this funding?
No, that's not funding. What they get is they get the free certifications, they get the free support, they have the free Microsoft curriculum, and the certification testing industry. You're talking about $80 an assessment. It's free for all kids in Washington State.
Eric, when we won the STEM Lighthouse Award for a junior high school, and OSPI came to present, they asked on the microphone, every kid in the gym here who's been in a CTE class, please stand up. Every single kid stood up. That doesn't happen in many places unless you make a real strong commitment to getting this program started that are going to impact your graduates when they get to the threshold of their future. So we've really done the job of making the investment in our students prior to and into the junior high school, where they start to take these exploratory classes that actually lead to something, and they see it firsthand.
Great. Yeah, I've got time for one more question after this one, which is, how hard is it to find educators who can implement your programs?
Not at all. We have teachers write us every year asking to come to West Valley.
Yeah.
So
and we've had some collaboration on the academic side of the house and the career and technical education side of the house, that many of our academic teachers have become CTE certified. So Jamie Zeller, who's teaching all these teachers across the state of Washington on the CTE Financial Algebra 2 class, she came from the traditional background and was able to get CTE certified. And so we have such a great collaboration at our high school and at the junior high between the academic and vocational. There really is no silos in West Valley when it comes to what's best for kids.
One of the things and I was a high school principal for 11 years. One of the things that hampers your ability to move these type of programs forward is the collaboration and cooperation between the career tech ed side of the house and the academic side of the house. You have this gatekeeper mentality on the academic side of the house that you could no way earn a legitimate US history, world history, government, Algebra 2 credit unless you're sitting in my class. And so in West Valley, the collaboration is tremendous. And we really come together, academic, vocational, to provide the dual credit system that allows for our kids to be able to move forward so that when they get to the threshold of their future and get ready to get that diploma, they have a lot of dual credits in their backpack that they have to take forward.
The big thing, Eric, is purpose. Like, purpose is an important word. Our students want to have purpose in what they're doing, but our teachers want to have purpose in how they're preparing our students. So we have teachers across the state who are already certified working for other school districts, constantly asking us if they can come to West Valley, and when we have an opening to let them know.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Last question I have, which is, how can other districts replicate what you have? What would you tell parents, for example, to encourage them to ask for what you're doing right now? What are some of the levers that they can use?
Well, one of the things that I always like to say is, and I'm gonna kind of temper how I answer this, Eric. I have a saying, it's people, not programs. So in this room right here, I have 2 outstanding people that I get to work with every single day. One of the things we do is we take risks. We always are trying to continually improve as a school district. So I think a lot of it's about mindset. Too many people want to be safe and just creep ahead. Whereas, like Peter said earlier, we always think about what are we deciding today that's going to benefit our kids 5 years from now? And that's what we've approached this with. Anybody can do this. Chris started a career-connected learning blog where we talk about constantly some of the different things that we're doing that started this program. The development of the industry collaboration. We wouldn't be anywhere without the industry collaboration. The coursework, the sequencing of courses, getting kids started early in junior high school. All of those things can be replicated by any school district. And if you have questions, we're here to help you any way we can.
We had a kind of a crazy, Mike makes a good point. I was talking to one of our former admin interns. I applied for 23 CTE director jobs. I had 15 interviews. I had 3 positions reopen the job after I interviewed. They decided they'd rather have nobody than the candidates that they had. And at every interview, I came in with this career pathway plan. And, you know, it was a conversation with my wife, like, am I on the wrong track? I mean, it seems like no school districts want to do this career pathway. And then when I interviewed, Peter was in my interview, and West Valley goes, we want that. And I said, well, if you hire me, this is what I'm going to do. And it was really a good fit. It was a district who said they wanted to do it. They cut me loose and they said, you know what you want to do, just go. And we went for it. And I think it's just will. Like I said, I guess I can say there's 23 school districts where I tried to bring this mentality to them. And like I said, there's, you know, 23 districts that I ended up being, and I found the district who wanted to make it happen. But when you talk about Core Plus, it's available. They have $900,000 in grants. You just have to be able to say yes. I met Brianna Durham, one of the smartest people I've ever met from AJAC Aerospace. She said, hey, we're trying to do this youth apprenticeship. We're just looking for school districts who want to do it. We're just trying to get districts. We immediately said, yes, we're in. This is good for kids. We're going to make it happen. We're going to find a way. Microsoft, we did Microsoft certification at the high school. I went to Lance Rosinski at OSPI. I said, we're going to do this in the junior high. And Lance segued the conversation with us and Microsoft so West Valley could pilot Microsoft certification in the junior high. And those are only a few of our programs. That doesn't even break into the questions we're asking other people that we're going to be moving on, that I think the rest of the state is going to be talking next year when we get our other initiatives done. That's just what we have done now. And I think it's just scratching the tip of the iceberg on what we have done now. And it doesn't even communicate with where we're going.
But we're here to help anybody that wants to get started.
That's fantastic. And just to be crystal clear, the funding that you have to do what you're doing, it's available to every district in the state. You don't have anything special going on just for you?
No secret sauce. You got to apply for it.
We have no oil wells out back, nothing like that.
So 2014, it used to be Core Plus. You could only get it once. It was for launching programs. So we got our seed money. We built our machine shop program. I got a call from OSPI and it said, hey, you didn't apply for the grant. And I said, yeah, you can't get it a second time. So hey, we're going to go back and we're going to go ahead and fix that. And I go, well, what are you fixing it for? And he goes, no one applied for it. No one applied for the Core Plus grant. $25,000 to $50,000. I think $75,000 for skill centers. They weren't giving them all away because school districts weren't applying for it to launch these manufacturing programs that are good for kids.
All right, then. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Peter. I really appreciate all the great information. And thank you for listening, too. Our next webinar is not scheduled yet, but once it's confirmed, we'll post the information on our website and share on our Facebook page and on Twitter. Thanks to each of you for joining today. If you have additional questions or comments, please send them to info@educationvoters.org. A recording of today's presentation will be available on our website, educationvoters.org. Please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. If you would like to learn more about League of Education Voters or support our work, please visit our website, educationvoters.org. Thank you again for attending. We hope you will join us at future webinars. Peter, Chris, Mike, thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, really appreciate it.